Welcome back to Stoic Inspire. My name is Dylan, and today I want to share a story that taught me the value of connection, kindness, and the subtle lessons we learn from the people we least expect. Remember to subscribe to keep up with our latest stories. I'm a 25-year-old software developer working at a tech company in the city. Life is busy and demanding, and most days, I get caught up in my work, barely finding time to connect with people who matter most. But a few weekends ago, I had an experience that shifted my perspective. An experience centered around my best friend Jake and his incredible mom, Vanessa. Jake and I met back in college, and we've been best friends ever since. Through thick and thin, we've been there for each other. He's the kind of guy you could call at 3 a.m. and he'd show up in minutes, no questions asked. He's like a brother to me, and his family has always been warm and welcoming. Vanessa, his mom, is one of those people who make everyone feel at ease. She has this warm, motherly way about her, always offering a smile, a cup of tea, and a listening ear whenever I visit. One Saturday, after a grueling week, I found myself with an unexpected day off. I thought about just staying in bed or catching up on some shows. But then I thought of Jake. It had been a while since we'd caught up, and I missed those lazy afternoons spent joking around and sharing stories. So, on a whim, I decided to drive over to his house and surprise him. I pulled up to Jake's house, cozy, welcoming little place on a tree-lined street just outside the city. I rang the doorbell, and Vanessa answered. She looked genuinely surprised to see me standing there. But as always, her face lit up with that warm, familiar smile. "Dylan, what a surprise. It's so good to see you," she exclaimed, pulling me into a quick hug. I chuckled, saying, "I thought I'd just drop by and see if Jake was around." Vanessa's smile grew a little mischievous. "Well, I hate to break it to you, but Jake went on a last-minute trip with some friends. But you're more than welcome to come in. Dylan, I'll make us some tea." I hesitated, feeling a little awkward about showing up unannounced. But before I could say anything, the sky suddenly darkened, and a massive thunderstorm began to roll in. Rain started pouring down in torrents, pounding against the ground with an intensity that made me wince. Vanessa glanced outside and gave a little laugh. "Looks like the weather made the decision for you. Come on in. You're not going anywhere in this downpour." Relieved, I followed her inside. The house was cozy and smelled faintly of freshly baked bread, a comforting smell that made me feel instantly at home. Vanessa led me to the living room, where we settled onto the couch, and she disappeared into the kitchen to make us tea. As she returned with 2 steaming cups, she settled into an armchair, tucking her legs under her, as if we were settling in for a long, cozy chat. "So Dylan, how's life treating you these days?" she asked, her voice soft and genuinely curious. I found myself opening up about work, about the stress in long hours, and how sometimes I busyness of it all. Vanessa listened intently, nodding thoughtfully, occasionally giving her input in that calm, reassuring way of hers. She told me about her own days in a high-pressure job when she was younger, and how, over time, she learned to find balance by focusing on the small joys in life. The laughter around the dinner table, the warmth of a hug, the sound of rain on the roof. Her words struck a chord with me. It was so easy to get caught up in the rush of daily life and lose sight of the simple, beautiful moments that make life meaningful. As the rain continued to beat down, Vanessa and I lost track of time, talking about everything and nothing. She shared stories from her youth, her dreams, her struggles, and how she met Jake's dad. Each story was laced with humor and wisdom, showing me a side of her that I hadn't known before. I could see where Jake got his sense of humor and his down-to-earth attitude. Despite everything she'd gone through, Vanessa had this unbreakable positivity, a way of finding joy in life's little moments. Hours slipped by as the storm raged outside. Vanessa occasionally glanced out the window and shook her head. "It doesn't look like this rain is letting up anytime soon," she said with a little laugh. "You might as well stay here for the night, Dylan." Driving back in this weather wouldn't be safe. At first, I was hesitant. I didn't want to impose, but she wouldn't hear any of it. "You're practically family, Dylan," she said, waving away my protests. "Jake would want you to stay safe." And with that, she showed me to Jake's room, giving me a spare blanket and making sure I was comfortable. I settled onto Jake's bed, listening to the sound of rain pattering against the window. It was a soothing sound, blending with the warmth I felt from Vanessa's kindness. I found myself thinking about family, not just the one you're born into, but the one you build over time. People who look out for you, who make you feel at home, even on unexpected stormy nights. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of soft laughter coming from the kitchen. I got up and headed downstairs, finding Vanessa making breakfast. To my surprise, Jake was there too, looking a bit groggy, but thrilled to see me. "Dylan," he grinned, pulling me into a hug. "Didn't expect to find you here this morning. Guess you couldn't stay away." "Huh?" I laughed, explaining how the storm had trapped me there. "You're welcome." Vanessa sat down a plate of pancakes, smiling at us both with that warm, motherly look. We all sat down together, laughing, eating, and sharing stories as if no time had passed at all. There was something so grounding about that morning, a sense of belonging that went beyond words. As I drove home later, with the rain finally easing up, I found myself feeling incredibly grateful. The unexpected night I'd spent with Vanessa, talking and sharing stories, had given me something I didn't know I needed. It reminded me that sometimes, in the rush of life, we forget to pause and appreciate the little things, the kindness of others, a warm meal, a cozy chat on a rainy night. In a world that often feels fast-paced and impersonal, these moments of connection are what make life rich. We may not always have control over the big storms that come our way, but we can always find warmth, laughter, and love if we look for it in the right places.